This is the story of an Assassin's Creed masterpiece that Ubisoft allegedly doesn't want you to know about. A game that would have taken the franchise's core ideas, history, freedom, and the fight against oppression to their most logical and dangerous conclusion. A game where you, as a formerly enslaved man, would have returned to the American South to dismantle the KKK during the turbulent Reconstruction era. It's a concept so perfect for the Creed's ethos that it almost sounds like a fan fiction. But according to multiple reports from credible journalists citing current and former Ubisoft employees, this game was real. It was in the early stages, and then in mid-2024, it was canceled. The reason given, according to those same reports, was that the game was too political and the country too unstable. This isn't just a story about one canceled game. It's about how corporate fear, a hypersensitivity to online drama, and a calculated retreat into safe nostalgia are stopping one of the biggest franchises in the world from evolving. This is the story of how Ubisoft is failing its own creed. So let's picture what this game could have been. This rumored project that sounds more compelling than anything the series has done in years. The setting, America in the 1860s and 1870s, the period known as Reconstruction, right after the Civil War. A nation trying to figure out what it is, rebuilding itself from the ashes of conflict, all while the promise of freedom for millions of newly emancipated Black Americans was under immediate and violent threat. The protagonist, a Black man, formerly enslaved in the South, who moves west to build a new life. There, he's recruited by the Assassin Brotherhood. He hones his skills, learns the creed, and then makes a choice to go back to the South, the site of his subjugation, to fight for real justice. His main target would be the forces trying to drag the country back into darkness. Chief among them, the brand new and rapidly growing KKK. Think about the sheer potential. The KKK, in its actual historical context, is a perfect real-world stand-in for the Templar Order. A secret society using terror, political manipulation, and a hateful ideology to control society. For years, fans have wanted a return to the franchise's roots, a move away from this mythological and back to the grounded political struggles that defined the early games. This concept was the ultimate answer. It would have been a story where the high-minded ideals of freedom versus control weren't just abstract concepts, but a visceral life or death struggle rooted in one of the most critical and fraught periods in American history. Imagine the gameplay: infiltrating secret KKK meetings in the dead of night, using the shadows of a Georgia swamp to protect the new community of freedmen, uncovering a Templar plot to assassinate a progressive senator and stop the fragile gains of Reconstruction. It's a setting that's not only thematically rich, but also perfect for the classic Assassin's Creed's loop of investigation, stealth, and assassination. According to one report, the developers were enthusiastic, believing that it had the potential to make a positive social impact. It was a chance to use the series' massive platform to explore a vital piece of history that is often ignored, all while delivering a power fantasy of fighting back against one of history's most notorious hate groups. So, if the concept was so strong and so perfect for the franchise, what happened? To understand why Ubisoft reportedly got cold feet, we have to talk about another game, Assassin's Creed Shadows. In May of 2024, Ubisoft revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows set in feudal Japan. Its announcement that one of two protagonists would be Yasuke, a real-life black samurai, was met with predictable and venomous online backlash. While some raised questions about it, the historical interpretation, a loud and significant part of the criticism, was overtly racist, accusing Ubisoft of being woke or pushing an agenda. The whole situation became toxic, with reports of harassment aimed at developers. According to the reporting from GameFile, this backlash sent a shockwave through Ubisoft's leadership. The company saw the firestorm ignited by including a black protagonist in a Japanese setting and allegedly made a calculation. If that caused so much controversy, what would a game starring a black man actively fighting the KKK in America unleash? Sources familiar with the decision told reporters that Paris management halted the project for two main reasons: the negative reaction to Yasuke and a growing concern over the tense political climate in the US. The reported justification was that the game was simply too political in a country too unstable. It was a project deemed too risky, too controversial, and too likely to alienate part of the market. And so the project was shelved in July 2024. It wasn't because the idea was bad, it was because the idea was powerful. It was because telling that story in this climate was seen as a bad business decision. According to one source cited in reports, developers were frustrated, feeling that the company was bowing to controversy. Another source stated that leadership is making more decisions to maintain the political status quo and take no creative risks. This is the anatomy of corporate fear: a preemptive surrender to a potential online mob where creative ambition is sacrificed for risk mitigation. This decision, if the reports are true, isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a much larger and much more troubling pattern at Ubisoft. For over a decade, the company has done this weird dance, making games steeped in political turmoil while publicly insisting they are apolitical. From the American Revolution in AC3 to a religious cult in Far Cry 5, and a post-Brexit dystopia in Watch Dogs Legion. Ubisoft loves to use politically charged settings as a backdrop, but refuses to actually say anything meaningful about them. They want the aesthetic of revolution without the spirit of one. They want to sell you the thrill of fighting oppression without ever having to define what that oppression is, or risk offending anyone who might, just might, be on the wrong side of it. This brings us to the Black Flag remake. Revealed in April 2026 for a July release, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced is a full ground-up remake of the 2013 fan favorite, and on the surface, that's great news. Black Flag is a beloved game, and a modern remake is in the latest engine is something a lot of fans are genuinely excited for. But look at the timing. After the Shadows controversy and the alleged cancellation of the Reconstruction-era game, what does a pivot to a remake signal? It signals a retreat. It's a calculated move back to safe, proven, and profitable territory. Piracy in the 18th century Caribbean is the perfect setting for Ubisoft's brand of apolitical politics. It's a fantasy of rebellion that's distant, romanticized, and most importantly, doesn't map directly onto the polarizing issues of today. No one is going to get into a heated cable news debate about the Templar influence in Nasu. Instead of pushing the narrative boundaries of their flagship series with a story that could have been challenging and vital, Ubisoft chose nostalgia. They chose to resell a story they've already told. One they know is a guaranteed hit. A smart business move. It's also creatively bankrupt. It's a clear signal that the company is allergic to new things. The central creed of the Assassin's Creed franchise is nothing is true, everything is permitted. It is a philosophy about questioning authority, challenging established systems, and carving your own path. Yet, the company that created it seems to be operating under a different motto. Some things are not permitted, especially if they threaten our stock price. The story of this canceled game, which is still based on heavily sourced reports, is a tragedy. It represents a missed opportunity to tell a story that matters, to use a massive platform to explore a complex and important part of history from a perspective we almost never see in blockbuster entertainment. Developers were reportedly excited to make it. It had the potential to be truly groundbreaking, but it was deemed too dangerous. This is the crossroads where Assassin's Creed, and you could argue AAA gaming, now stands. Will our biggest storytellers keep chasing challenging and meaningful stories, even if it means weathering a storm of controversy? Or will they retreat further into the safe harbor of remakes, sequels, and politically sanitized sandboxes? By reportedly canceling a game about fighting the KKK out of fear, Ubisoft has given us their answer. They are too scared to make the games that the very creed of their franchise demands. But that's just my take. What do you think? Would you play an Assassin's Creed set in the Reconstruction era? Do you believe Ubisoft made the right call from a business perspective? Or did they betray the creative spirit of the series? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe, hit the noti bell, you know the vibes. Thanks for watching.